Last week, we took a look at some of the possible developments that might occur if Hillary Clinton is elected president. My purpose was to help explain why you might suddenly find yourself on a world bereft of every vestige of life, except an irradiated North Korean dictator doomed to watch the sex scene from the interview on TV until his hideous death brings the story of mankind to an end. It's kind of hard to explain. Today, I'd like to take a look at what might be in store for us if Donald Trump should win the presidency, which he won't. But if he does, which will never happen, but just in case, although he's not going to, although he might, but he won't. Well, it's possible. Let me remind you that as a professional political commentator, I am licensed to look into the future. Don't try this on your own, or else you might find out about that thing your husband's going to do with the girl from the sales department about 6 months from now. April 23rd at 9 p.m., to be exact, at her apartment on Melrose. But back to Donald Trump. First of all, in order for Donald Trump to overcome his disadvantage in the polls, a large number of citizens would have to gather in the village square wearing Tyrolean hats and then charge up the hill to the castle, carrying torches and shouting, "Give us the monster," finally chasing Hillary Clinton to an abandoned windmill, which they set on fire as Clinton claws the air in mute rage and terror at having found herself misunderstood by a heartless world which she's ripped off for upwards of $200 million. In the aftermath of the Trump victory, many journalists may find themselves experiencing intense internal pressure, which will violently tear them apart from the neck up so that they spew the black tar of corruption and dishonesty that they keep where their brains should be, splattering the shocked faces of the people surrounding them, who will then, of course, break into delighted laughter and slow clap ironically. In the ensuing absence of mainstream media coverage, Democrats will suddenly be forced to argue for the logic, morality, and efficacy of their policies, causing the party to disintegrate when several highly placed officials suddenly realize that they're communists and put themselves under arrest, seizing themselves by the arms and trying to drag themselves to the local jail until they find out that, like communism, that doesn't make any sense either. Finally, when enough journalists have exploded and enough Democrat Party officials are pulling themselves in circles by the arm because they've never learned to stop doing things that don't work, Donald Trump will assume the office of the presidency, taking the familiar oath. "I swear big league that I will execute the office of president better than anyone else ever has. You'll be amazed, folks, so help me." And that's as far into the future as I can see. After that, all I can make out is an enormous mushroom-shaped cloud and a fat little Korean man watching a sex scene on TV forever. I'm not sure what that's about. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
I feel hunky-dunky, life is tickety-boo. Birds are winging, also singing hunky-dunky-doo. Ship-shaped, tipsy-topsy, the world is zippity-zing. It's a wonderful day, hurrah, hooray, it makes me want to sing. Oh, hurrah, hooray, oh, hooray, hooray.
Life is hunky-dunky when you think about it. Really, when you consider it, it is hunky-dunky. It's the mailbag tomorrow. Yeah, hey, so that's something to look for. Make sure you get first of all, make sure you subscribe. That's the first thing, because if you don't subscribe, you can't. People, I get these things. I don't want to subscribe, but I have a question to ask. Forget it. Yeah. Forget it. It costs $8 a month to be here. Let it go. Give it over. And then you send in your questions. We answer all of them with answers that are guaranteed 100% correct, and 98.7% guaranteed to change your life for the better. So, you've got nothing to lose. I do want to say, by the way, that some of you pre-ordered my book, The Great Good Thing, A Secular Jew Comes to Faith in Christ, and you have not yet received your stickers. I was just made aware of this today. I signed a whole bunch of stickers, and then we ran out. So they are on the way. For some reason, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's our zip code. Everything here takes forever, so they are coming. Please, and I really am sorry that it's taken so long. But I will sign them the minute they get here and send them off. So, a fan and Twitter follower named Derek Grissard, I hope I'm pronouncing that properly, Derek Grissard, sent me something today that I just love. I get things from people, and sometimes I use them on the show, and I'm always a little careful about giving credit because they might live in Saudi Arabia or Canada or someplace where you can't say what you want to say, and if they found listening to my show, they'll be carted off and put in prison. But I asked Derek's permission, and he gave me permission to give him credit for this because this is a great find. This is an episode of The Simpsons, obviously done during the Dole-Clinton election, which predicts this election. Okay, these the candidates haven't been taken over by aliens. It predicts this election.
The politics of failure have failed. We need to make them work again. Tomorrow, when you are sealed in the voting cubicle, vote for me, Senator Bob Dole.
I am looking forward to an orderly election tomorrow, which will eliminate the need for a violent bloodbath. America, take a good look at your beloved candidates. They're nothing but hideous space reptiles. It's true. We are aliens. But what are you going to do about it? It's a two-party system. You have to vote for one of us.
He's right. This is a two-party system.
Well, I believe I'll vote for a third-party candidate.
Go ahead. Throw your vote away.
That guy punches through his Perot hat. I just love this. There's two enormous aliens with horrible fangs drooling, and they say, but it's a two-party system, and the crowd goes, and they're right, it is a two-party system. So that's where we are, folks. That's the election. Thanks to Derek Rizard, that's the election in a nutshell. And so today we're going to talk about the two parties, all right? Bret Stephens, a columnist who, in many ways, I admire. I really like when he writes about foreign policy. I find him a bit of a snoot, an establishment snoot when he writes about the elections. He kind of linked Ted Cruz to Donald Trump throughout the primaries, and now he's stuck with Donald Trump, and he's a never-Trumper, and he's all excited about it. But he wrote a very powerful column, basically about what has happened to the Republican Party, and I'm going to read a very severely edited version of it, but it's worth listening to. I grew up with parents who liked the old line that they didn't leave the Democratic Party left them. As the left turned on America, they kept faith in America. Now it's my turn to watch the Republican Party drift away. To see how far it's fallen, let's remind ourselves of where it once was. And then he gives certain topics. Immigration. In 1980, Ronald Reagan said, instead of putting up a fence, why don't we make it possible for them to come here legally with a work permit, and then while they're working and earning here, they pay taxes here? For good measure, Reagan suggested we should open the border both ways. Okay, so that's a little different than the Republican Party today, where I think it's a line of snipers. Is that what Trump is promising? A wall and then a line of snipers on the wall, and we just kill them before they even think about coming up. On trade, Adam Smith wrote in 1776, if a foreign country can supply us with a commodity cheaper than we ourselves can make, better to buy it of them. 2 centuries later, Milton Friedman noted that trade protectionism really means exploiting the consumer by artificially limiting choice and raising prices for the benefit of domestic producers. Adam Smith and Milton Friedman were once canonical conservative figures. Free trade was once a Republican conviction. This is as opposed, obviously, to Donald Trump going around saying that trade is killing us, folks. Foreign policy. Since Truman, 6 Republican presidents have never wavered in their view that a robust system of treaty alliances such as NATO are critical for defending the international liberal order, or that the U.S. should dissuade faraway allies such as South Korea and Saudi Arabia from seeking nuclear weapons, or that states such as Russia should be kept out of regions such as the Middle East. Now, obviously, Donald Trump hates NATO, and he's saying what a great thing WikiLeaks is and so on. And finally, culture, civility, and character. I don't think I have to go into that. We did used to be, I do remember how we used to be the party of culture, civility, and character. Kiss those days goodbye, folks. All of this seems to me fair, especially the free trade and the culture and civility thing. Immigration could be argued that the situation has gotten so far out of control that Reagan is now out of date. But I think on trade and culture and civility, Donald Trump certainly is far away from the principles that I think still work and should be conservative principles. Now, because it's a two-party system, let's look at the Democrats, okay? Because there are some stories today that you will not hear about elsewhere that you may have missed that I think are really important. First of all, obviously the one you probably have heard of is Project Veritas, more stuff from James O'Keefe at Project Veritas. Now he has this guy, Robert Kramer, who is not just, he's the husband of an Illinois congresswoman, and he's this political operative who is basically kicked out of Americans United for Change after all this stuff came out on Project Veritas. This is a guy who has been to the White House, I think it's like over 200 times, and in about between 30 and 40 of those meetings, Mr. Obama himself was present. He was there with this guy. And here he is discussing a dirty trick that they played on the Trump people where they sent out people dressed up as Donald Duck, okay, because Donald Trump wasn't putting out his taxes, so the idea was Donald is ducking his taxes. So where did they get the idea from Donald Duck? Here he explains it to a Project Veritas reporter without knowing he's talking to a reporter.
Originally, we were going to do a project. We were going to do Uncle Sam, I Want You, give us your tax returns. I agree it's not as good.
Been done, yeah.
I agree it's not as good. It's much easier to execute. The guy who had done this other Chicken George thing had this other idea, and in the end, it was the candidate, Hillary Clinton, the future president of the United States, who wanted ducks on the ground. So, by God, we will give ducks on the ground. And,
so it's... Wow.
Don't repeat that to me.
Okay.
And it is a clever, it's a better idea.
So what this clown is saying is this idea to put Donald Duck at these meetings, pretending to be Donald, sending the message Donald is ducking his tax returns. This came directly from Hillary Clinton to him. There's one person who's extremely angry about this, who made a statement. Yeah, Donald didn't like that at all. And actually, they did have to pull this, because the Disney company said, we have a trademark on the guy. All right. Now, is this like the worst thing ever? Is this like exposing her emails to, foreign powers and all this? Of course it's not. But I just want to remind you of how far we've come, all right? Do you remember this guy? Play this tape of Donald Segretti.
How do you feel about what has happened today?
Well, obviously, I'm certainly not, don't look upon it with any great delight. Beyond that, I don't think I want to make any other comment other than that.
Do you regret what you did during the campaign?
Well, I certainly regret my involvement, as it may have been improper in certain regards with the campaign. There's no question about that, obviously, and I have for a great period, lengthy period of time.
You know what this guy did? This guy went to prison for 4 months. I think he was convicted on several misdemeanors in a plea bargain, was sentenced to 6 months, served 4 months. This guy was in the Nixon administration, and during the campaign, he sent letters. It was Ed Muskie was the candidate, and he sent letters that looked like Muskie had insulted Canada. He called them Canucks. So they were called the Canuck letters. And he would do dirty tricks like this. Dirty tricks like sending people out to beat people up, to start trouble at Trump rallies, like sending out Donald Duck people and all this stuff. There's a scene in the movie All the President's Men that I wish I could have found. I couldn't find it online, where the reporters Woodward and Bernstein go to Segretti, and Segretti is in tears because what he called this rat effing. Obviously, he didn't use effing, and there are probably some people in this audience who are thinking, effing, what does it? Because we're pure of heart here, that's why. But they called it rat effing. And it was just plain dirty tricks. It was something they all learned in college and they did together, and they sent him to jail. And there's a scene in the movie All the President's Men where Woodward and Bernstein are talking to Segretti, and he starts to cry, and he says, it was just dirty tricks. It was just jokes, and they're going to send me to jail. Guess who's not going to jail for playing dirty tricks, for all this Project Veritas stuff? The only person who's likely to go to jail here is O'Keefe, if he doesn't wind up shooting himself 4 times in the back of the head, but if not, the only person who really could get in trouble for all this stuff is O'Keefe. So when we're talking about how far the Republican Party has strayed from its principles, let's remember how far all of us have strayed from the idea of what we expect from government, let alone, going after and grabbing women or attacking women. These people are messing with our political system. And these dirty tricks, they're probably, it's borderline a question of if Hillary Clinton is interacting with, if the Hillary Clinton campaign is interacting with these super PACs, it's questionable whether it's legal or not. But it's certainly something that when Segretti did it, we were all shocked, and this was a terrible thing. So let's not forget, this is what I keep saying about Donald Trump. We can all see what he is, but we can't see what Hillary is because it's all disguised, and they have normalized, the Democrats have normalized corruption, which brings us to Obamacare. Yesterday, let's do this first. Fox Business Report, Stuart Varney, put out a little montage of people talking about Obamacare when they were trying to get it passed.
We have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan, period.
Affordable. Good. Affordable. There's a reason. Affordable. 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 Affordable.
If you like the plan you have, you can keep it. If you like the doctor you have, you can keep your doctor too.
Big effing deal. All right, we'll be back to talk more about this, but if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you've got to come over to the Daily Wire to hear the rest. If you'd already subscribed, not only could you be watching us live on the Daily Wire, but you could be asking your questions now that are guaranteed to change your life. When you get these answers, they just suddenly a golden glow will surround you. Come on over and hear the rest.